he talks about all of these crimes that is not usually in the mainstream media,
Nice.
and they be interesting as fuck. You know, it's just that his addresses be so interesting that I never get a chance to kind of like put on a crime report for you. But oh, and what I wanted to say was, um, on Sunday, the Sunday that just passed, the Sunday night address, he played this politician, this black woman. She's a Democrat. I don't know what state for, you know, whether she's a senator, a congresswoman, a councilwoman, I don't know. But the lady was talking about being an FBA, a Foundational Black American. She didn't mention FBA. She probably said more like ADOS, which means American Descendants of Slaves. Or she might have said African American. But, you know, you get her point. She says that like in front of Congress. So,
I need to make sure we have the clear saline.
we usually have it all over the place. Whether it's in those little one-shot tubes or whether it's in a big tube. But, you know, I know that you didn't have to go to your closet to get it recently, so we might have ran out. I can get it tomorrow. I hope I remember. Because they're always asking me, is there anything you need? Because, you know, they're not even supposed to give me shit, but it's because everybody likes me and, you know, they all talk to me and they all like my personality and and the fact when I talk to them, I keep it real. They say, is there anything you need? And they're not supposed to give me nothing, but they, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can remind you.
I appreciate it. Okay. And by the way,
For soldiers, I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth.
this is 20 minutes. You know, I'll be trying to remember to tell you the length. It's 20 minutes. That was this morning. And as you know, sometimes he's 7 minutes, sometimes he's 9 minutes, sometimes he's 10 minutes, sometimes he's 14 minutes, sometimes he's 15 minutes, you know. Sometimes he's 18 minutes.
Polly is an excellent avatar for the quintessential bootlick, as well as for poor eating habits, lack of exercise, fashion sense with no common sense, but most of...
He's talking about Roland Martin. Him and Tariq and Jason Black, they call him Roly Poly, Bowling Ball Martin. But he's very smart. But he's a tether, and he's a political shill for the Democrats. He got paid by Kamala Harris to push her shit. But he is intelligent. But he's a tether because he's Haitian. So, and he be listening because he be talking about Jason Black. He be talking about Tariq. He be talking to now, his last statements, he was talking about FBAs. He was like, y'all dumbasses, talking about y'all ain't gonna vote. You know, he pushes that whole voting Democrat narrative. And we found out that he got paid by Kamala Harris's platform to shill for the Democrats. Him and Al Sharpton. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Remember Al? Yeah. But yeah, Roland Martin is a Democratic shill.
Most of all, he's the avatar for the self-serving, self-interested enemy within. When he uses the term black, to him that's just a pathetic branding term. He uses it the same way that these black celebrities do, only in regards to himself personally. So when he says to support black media, he ain't talking about black media, he's talking about him. Black interests are not the interests of the DNC any more than they're the interests of the RNC. Black people didn't create either political party. We don't control them, and they damn sure don't operate in our interest. Remember, that's what I told you that the definition of black media is. A media is defined by who owns it, who controls it, and whose interest it operates in. All three of those must be aligned, or they're not black media at all. Both the DNC and the RNC have had black chairmen, and even then, neither one of them ever operated in our interest. It makes no sense for us to cheerlead for a DNC or RNC agenda any more than it would for us to cheerlead for MSNBC or Fox News. None of them are presenting our demands, and that makes them the opposition. It's like Byron Allen. When the A-Dunce clowns thought that they were going to get some kind of come-up by palling around with him and signal-boosting his self-serving lawsuits against these white media corporations, Byron Allen was saying the word black a lot back then. In fact, he says it only whenever he's got a new lawsuit that he's pressing. He has a white wife and has done everything he can to separate himself from actual contact with the black community, but he likes to make money off the community by presenting himself as a supplier of quote-unquote black content. But that's just something for him to peddle, and he demands that when these white companies carry whatever it is that he's trying to sell today, this has made Byron Allen very rich. Though predictably it's done nothing for anyone else except for him because it was never meant to do anything for anyone else but him. He's a wealthy man who doesn't use any of that money to leverage anything for black people. He makes no demands of white power for the black community. The only demands he ever makes are for himself, full stop. And roly-poly draws from the same well, or rather the same cesspool. When he tells you that not voting for the Democrats is stupid, he's flying in the face of what white Democrats say.
If you want to pull the party, the major party that is closest to the way you're thinking, to what you're thinking, you must show them that you're capable of not voting for them. If you don't show them you're capable of not voting for them, they don't have to listen to you. I promise you that. I worked within the Democratic Party. I didn't listen or have to listen to anything on the left while I was working in the Democratic Party because the left had nowhere to go.
See? The very white Democrats that Rowley sucks up to and wishes that he could be on a panel with, they know how politics actually works, but then again, so does he. When it comes to demands of any sort, there simply must be some kind of or else behind it. That's an absolute requisite. A demand is not merely an aggressive request. It must be understood to be just short of a threat. As Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand. Though, as Louis Farrakhan added to that, power won't even concede to a demand if it appears to come from a constituency with no force. So no, Rowley is intentionally misleading you if he pretends to be supporting black demands, but never makes it a point to tell the Democrats what the consequences will be for them if they don't do what we say. All he does is tell you what the consequences are going to be for you if you don't do what he says. His job is to present white power's demands to you and then get you to meekly obey. And that's because Rowley is still trying to become a consultant to the DNC. I think he gave up on the idea that he's ever going to get himself a cable news job, though that hope burns eternal for some reason. But that's what he really wants. He's trying to get to DC one way or the other. I outlined the cable news to White House Communications Office grift that people like Simone Mamie Sanders and Karine St-Pierre run, as well as some others. These are examples of bootlegs who got on camera and denied all the crap that Biden did against us while campaigning for president. And why did she do it? So that these people could get themselves a job working in the White House and then use that to burnish their own resumes and parlay that into some sort of cable news gig, or get themselves into a consulting job with the corporation, or become some sort of half-brained lobbyist. It's all clout chasing, plain and simple. And at no point have they ever admitted to what they did, or bring any attention to the harm that black people suffered from policies like the ones that Biden pushed. You haven't heard Mamie Sanders say a word about mass incarceration of black people since she left the White House, have you? In fact, she didn't say anything about it when she was there, and she's not going to. One, she ain't because she doesn't give a rip about black people, and two, she knows that people will throw her own shameless defense of the '94 crime bill in her face if she tried. And Karine St-Pierre has only reared her ugly head to try to pimp some book she's trying to write. This is what these shills do. Rowley would love to sniff Joe Biden's musty, dusty drawers just for a chance to get a White House gig. That's why you constantly see this creep whining about how important it is to support quote-unquote black media. That's what he says. Now, as the real black media, and not fake bootleg media, we understand that simply having some black face out front isn't enough to qualify as black media. That's the lesson that we should have taken away from Richelieu Dennis and the whole Essence fiasco. Black-owned means absolutely nothing without it also being black-interested too. Tethers, bootlick shills, and self-serving social climbers are not in our interest. Now that brings us to the subject of this morning's briefing. The Sunday address covered the important speech delivered by North Carolina State Representative Carol Cunningham. She spoke up for her lineage and spoke out against how immigration has been weaponized against our people. But do you know the one thing that she didn't mention? Reparations. She didn't say a word about it. Now, before you go getting bent out of shape, calm down. Pressing our demands for tangibles is important, but there's also other things that are just as legitimate to bring to the forefront of the political discourse as well. Representative Cunningham was making a legitimate demand, and she was being very focused on one thing because that's what you do when you're trying to bring attention to something. She was using her platform to forward a policy that would be in her people's interest, and she didn't care that Democrats didn't like it. That's why they were so angry with her. She's supposed to be a rubber stamp for whatever it is they tell her to do. But she focused on a subject, and she used that opportunity the right way. She used it to press a demand. And we got a number of them. An anti-black hate crime law punishing the police, ending the gentrification of our neighborhoods and the places that we live. We got a number of interests. Reparations is the forefront, but it's not the only one. Be they on the political left or right, a black politician is never supposed to advocate for black people. Everybody understands that. Their job is to lend the moral legitimacy of our history and our struggle to whatever pet issue of the white left is today, or in the case of Tim Scott or David Clark, to shamelessly buy
by the name of
same
Professor
some
Black
blatantly
Truth.
anti-black policy from the white right. See, Representative Cunningham exercised political maturity.
Is that Shy?
Yo, I assume you got the Medi honey. Because you remember they said use that instead of the Santal.
It says medical grade Manuka honey.
Yeah, that's it.
And this is silver honey, rapid room repair. Antibiotic free spray gel. Army bugs.
Yep, that's it. Now, I can ask them tomorrow what should go first, the spray or the honey, the Manuka, or it doesn't matter. Which probably it doesn't matter. Are you still on the phone?
I'm streaming. I think Shy says, what's up?
Okay. Also, when the black lady was speaking, I think she was speaking in front of her constituents, right? Now, this is the reason why I say when it comes to Democrats or Republicans, it's all about white supremacy. Because no matter who wins and all of that shit, we remain in the ghettos. And I get it. Accountability. At this point, we know we have to get ourselves out the ghetto. I know. I get it. That's why Jason Black is rich and Tariq is rich. Because they have found their niche and they know how not to depend on anybody, and they know to keep fighting for reparations, but, you know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do in the meanwhile. So, what I want to say is, though, when the black lady was speaking, she was speaking in front of her constituents, Democrats, right? While she was speaking, and when, you know, she was talking about ADOS and her people and her culture, people in the audience, her constituents, were coughing and making sounds. Whereas the guy throwing the whole thing, because you know there's always like a major speaker, the guy with the hammer and shit like that, he said, yo, can y'all please stop with y'all forced noises and stuff like that. Even her own constituents, right? Boom. Which sticks to what I be saying. It's not about Democrats, Republicans. It's all about white supremacy. In the end, white supremacy wins. You know. And again, people like, oh, yo, Jimmy crazy. I take that as a badge of honor. But, yeah, so they were like, you know, and when I play the next time her speech, then you will be able to hear the speech that the professor's talking about now.
When she saw a policy that was harming her people's interests, she spoke up and fought it. She made a concrete demand: stop immigration and to remove the racist foreigners who have been undermining us economically and politically, and in many cases harming black Americans physically. No more using foreigners to do white supremacy's dirty work. And you can tell that her demand was substantive because of how angry people got about it. See, if you're actually making a demand that matters, it's going to make people uncomfortable because it's going to threaten to change things. The people you see who whine about how they want us to stop advocating for reparations because it quote-unquote ain't going to happen, these are also the same people who never advocate anything for black people. The first question you're supposed to ask these fools is, what are they advocating for black people? They're against reparations? Well, what the hell are they for? Are they advocating against immigration? Are they advocating for an anti-black hate crime bill specifically for us? Are they advocating for black people to have ready and immediate access to funding for our businesses like everybody else gets? Have you seen any of these do-nothing nobodies whining against reparations actually taking a stand on anything for us? Or do you just see them saying, stop talking about reparations? See, what they're really saying is, don't make any demands at all. They're not trying to advance black people's interest. Morons like A. Dummy, this clown, he wants a job from White Daddy. He wants a TV show. He wants a job writing a column or something. Or better yet, just shining white masses' shoes. Anything he can get. So this black conservative clown, he's no different than the roly-polies of the world. He denies racism because that's his hustle, that's his grift. Sure, the specific talking points he uses may be different in form than roly-poly, but the intent behind it is exactly the same: to use black people as a way to finesse something for himself from white power. Do not listen to anyone unless they're making demands of white power. The job of these shills, be they Democrat or Republican, is to get you to stop making demands and to just mindlessly obey. The Rollies, the A. Dummies, the Byron Allens, all of them have the same thing in common. They are non-threatening to white power. In fact, they all want something from white power. And their job is to tell you that basically everything will be just fine if you just do what they say, but stop making demands. Because they make no demands of white power, at least none for us, and they want to stop you from doing it either. So they try to distract attention from the demands that you should be making, like Rolly does, or they just say we shouldn't be making any demands at all, like A. Dummy does. There is no era of American history where white power or its black surrogates has ever supported or championed black people making demands of any sort. So when you hear some clown telling you the old black people need to stop begging white power for this or that, or what about black on black crime, or we's our own worst enemies, you know, ask that creep what issue for black people has he ever been an advocate for. Ask them to name one issue that white power has opposed, that black people have been in favor of, that this shill has also supported. Ask them if that issue ever came to pass. Ask them if it ever happened. Or are we still fighting for this issue to the very day? See, they can't deny the lack of progress. So instead, they do the old, well, it's better for us now than it's been in the past. I've already broken down that lie for you. They've been saying that mess since slavery. You look around today and say, well, things are better today than they were in the 80s when Reagan was president. You go to the 80s, they say, well, things are better than they were in the 60s. You go to the 60s, they say, well, things are better than they were in the 30s. You go to the 30s, they say, well, things are better than they were during the racial massacres of the turn of the 20th century. You go to the turn of the 20th century, things are better than they were after the end of Reconstruction. And you go to Reconstruction and they say things are better than they were during slavery. They just keep running that same old game over and over again. Just like with the elections. Well, we got demands to make. Y'all can't be making no demands. We got to win this election first. Then as soon as they win the election, well, we got to get reelected. And then when they get reelected, well, we got to hold on to the White House now. They just put you on that treadmill to nowhere. That's the entire point. When someone tries to tell you that reparations doesn't matter because it won't change our condition, you make sure to ask them, if reparations is so unimportant and so irrelevant, why are people fighting so hard against it? You don't fight against something that has no relevance or importance. You fight against something that's a threat to you. When they try to claim that, well, it's unpopular though, so what? There is literally nothing that we have ever demanded, nothing that has ever been proposed for us that has not been overwhelmingly unpopular. Ending chattel slavery was blatantly unpopular. That's what led to the Civil War. Black people fighting for the right to vote, that was overwhelmingly unpopular. That led to the creation of the KKK. Civil rights, boycotts, the marches and demonstrations of the 50s and 60s were all completely and thoroughly unpopular. And there's tons of polls from that era which documented that fact. A consistent 70+% of the American population hated the mere fact that black people were simply standing around saying we're being mistreated. That's all demonstrations are. There is nothing and no time in the history of this country that has ever seen anything beneficial for us be popular. And yet, the only reason these black conservatives are not in chains, the only reason these fools have the ability to vote for some GOP shill and are even able to walk around without lynch mobs in the streets, is precisely because black people made demands that were unpopular, the kind of demands that these spineless jellyfish never make. The polling on black issues doesn't prove that our demands are wrong. It simply proves that this sick, racist society has gotten fat and comfortable off of our suffering and that this must stop. For 500 years, throughout every era of American history, there has always been some Negroes who have been eager to say that white power isn't a problem for us and black people need to stop making demands. They even did it during slavery. As Harriet Tubman pointed out, she could have freed 1,000 more black people if only she could have convinced them that they were slaves. So you had empty-headed Negroes who were advocating against black freedom. They were advocating against black rights during Jim Crow, during the civil rights struggle, post-civil rights, and this era is no different. Some clown who gets in front of a camera or a microphone and claims that they're successful and that black people shouldn't be making any demands, that's nothing new at all. In fact, I'm a Negro who pulled myself up by my bootstraps, that is literally the oldest finesse in America. Every 2-bit bootlick since 1619 has run that scam. In fact, a lot of them, they're not successful at all until they get in front of the cameras or in front of a microphone and say, look, white daddy, I'm willing to say there ain't no racism. That's when they finally get some money. There's a lot of Negroes who figured out a long time ago that there's a ready torrent of money that white power will throw at some empty-headed Negro who says ain't no racism. A lot of them figured that one out. Shills are terrified of black empowerment because they know that we're not going to feed them. And A. Dunce is just as fat and morbidly obese as roly-poly, so both these fools don't need anyone to feed them as it is. Gluttony is supposed to be a sin, as is being stupid. Our job as the black media, as I've told you for the past 17 years, is to take control of the discourse within the black community and to elevate the debate. And a key part of elevating the debate is to challenge things that matter. And nothing matters more than our power. That is, our tangibles, so that we control the resources we need. And our internal politics, which ranges from safety from anti-black violence to being able to promote and pursue policies that empower us without having white power funding bootlicks and shills who will claim to represent us, when in reality they're attacking us. Just look at what happened in California during the reparations fight out there. You had those black bootlicks in the legislature who showed their true colors. They put aside any pretense that they were not on team white supremacy. They were openly mocking and disrespecting their own black constituents to their faces. Hell, even the racist reprobates on the right never had the nerve to try that one. What we are seeing, what's going on in California, is that California has long been ground zero for the national efforts to attack the mere existence of black Americans. And now you got some black folks out there who are finally fighting back. Everyone else has been occasional part-time commentators or collaborators in our oppression, and it's way past time we started saying it. Black Americans are and have always been the largest number of hate crimes victims in the U.S. Nobody else even comes close. And yet all it took was a few complaints from some Asian businesses about how they felt like they weren't getting enough foot traffic to their stores, and the Biden administration was tripping over its shoelaces to write a law for them. Remember, the hashtag #StopAsianHate didn't start in reaction to acts of violence during COVID. Its origins took place in response to people saying they didn't want to eat at Asian restaurants. But at the same time that we had that hysteria about coast-to-coast anti-Asian hate crimes, when you look at the FBI's own stats, you see that black people were and continue to be the largest victim of actual hate crimes, numerically and percentage-wise. But you wouldn't know it by what the roly-polies and others were saying. Be they on the left or the right, these Negro shills weren't talking about that at all. And you talk about introducing an anti-black hate crime law, these guys, as far as they're concerned, they want to change the subject. And when you look at how the so-called black politicians attack the reparations activists in California, you see that this is the Black Legislative Caucus showing exactly what their job is: run interference for the enemy. So the real lesson of Representative Cunningham's bold speech was more than that she took a stand against the Democrat establishment. It was that she made a demand, a real one. And on a side note, notice how your black conservatives don't go on a jihad about how immigration has hurt black people. Sure, they'll mention it in passing, but they only do it in the same mamby-pamby milquetoast terms that the white right does. All they're doing is they're trying to put a black spin, I put black in quotes, on the same old pathetic boilerplate statements and rhetoric that you hear on Fox News. But at no point do they actually make a connection between harms done to black people by the policy of immigration and any sort of reparation for it. You don't see them making demands about that on behalf of black people. After all, if white power isn't holding us back and isn't undermining us, and if we are our own worst enemies, then they know it would make them out to be liars if they suddenly started claiming that immigration was hurting us and that we require some sort of reparation for it. Because the right-wing bootlick's entire shtick is that the only thing holding black people back are the policies of the Democrats. Immigration has been a policy, and it proves that there have been and still are policies that specifically harm black people. And that being the case, when your black conservatives acknowledge that immigration policy harms black people, but then deny that any other policy does, then they're revealing themselves to be liars and bootlicks. So my advice to you, family, is learn to make a demand. And don't make a modest one. Everyone else shows up and demands as much as they can get. We're the only ones being all bashful about it. Time for that to change. The lesson from Representative Cunningham is to get in someone's face, make demands, and do it publicly. One of the main reasons that people think that they can dismiss our demands is because we're not making it a point to put it in their faces. You don't make demands quietly or meekly. You do it boldly. You do it in a way that confronts them and provokes them. Getting what you need isn't about being popular. It's about being persistent. The things we've accomplished has never been because we were nice or didn't step on any toes. In fact, we did it by doing exactly the opposite. From forcing the end of slavery to the 2020 uprisings that resulted in the thugs in blue finally starting to be punished, we brought about change by getting in people's faces, presenting demands that they hated, ignoring their opposition, dismissing their complaints about us, and standing on their heads until they relent. The lesson you're supposed to take away from that is become comfortable with making other people uncomfortable. And if they have the nerve to ask why we're being so hostile and uncompromising, you tell them, because that's the only kind of language you understand. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Mark Purcell, Gary Jones, Chris Pruitt, James Green, and Kwanzaa JV. Salute to them, and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.
Yo, whenever they did this
Are you
twice
looking
already.
for more in this world?
They had, and I've seen them pull these people out to talk about our issues, which is one, Candace Owens, and two, Coleman Hughes, he changed his name. His name is actually Cruz, and he's Puerto Rican. And even though Puerto Rican is an American colony, they won't qualify for reparations. But Candace Owens and Coleman Hughes went in front of Congress and said black people don't deserve reparations, black Americans, and I'll tell you why. Blase, 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 blase. This is the interesting thing. Candace Owens claims she's from Brazil. She doesn't qualify for reparations. So why the fuck do they pull her out to sit in front of Congress? See that game? Coleman Hughes is Puerto Rican, from Puerto Rico. He don't qualify for reparations in America. His family don't go back to the Freeman.
Well, hopefully they pulled an FBA.
Well, if they have, I haven't seen it.
What's the other term?
ADOS.
ADOS. Yeah, hopefully they pull some of that.
American descendant of slaves.
It's kind of Congress's job. Their job, I think they have legally they have the ability to, like, basically walk into any place that they want and claim it as congressional oversight. So they're able to go in and walk in and they're able to get, like, additional information to, as a lawmaker.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it doesn't make sense for them to, like, listen to, I mean, sure, they can get their perspectives, but for them to prioritize their decision making based only off of their perspectives, obviously that would be a little biased.
The things that go up against black people, the reason why, again, and I've said it 100 times, and I'll say it 100 more, the reason why black people are in the ghettos from New York to LA is because of our opposition, our adversaries, being corrupt, cheating, lying, conning, being cowards, and I said lying already. So, so we're going up against people who they're like, all of that shit where we try to take the moral high ground, they be like, yo, fuck all of that shit. You see this Trump administration, he hired all Nazis, all of his friends. Even people that even kind of like disagree with him, but not exactly disagreeing with him, not really trying to, like, make any waves between him and them, he'll fire them. Like, he's a real piece of shit. But, the new thing that they're doing, you might have heard about it, is that whole doing gerrymandering, getting the politicians to do gerrymandering, because the Texas is a red state. The politicians doing gerrymandering, which is going to make the black girl with the big mouth, Jasmine Crockett, lose her job and get 5 more seats for the Republicans. They cheat and they break rules.
It's been around since the 1800s, and Chicago, the state of Illinois, is an example of it.
Right, but gerrymandering hasn't really been for politics, or we can say, if it is for politics, it was politics to try to keep black people out of white neighborhoods, because gerrymandering and redlining go together.
That could be the case, yeah, that could be true.
So, the other thing I wanted to tell you is, your mother was like, when she was at the fish store, she said, do you want me to go to Cherry Valley? I said, nah, you can come straight here, because I know you want to come here while the food is still hot. So just to let you know, whether it's today or tomorrow or whatever, we need, and today at Cherry Valley, I got the salt, the pepper, the salt, the sugar. because I'm back to like drinking coffee because I'm not drinking. And but we need saran wrap for the watermelon that I cut. That's the only thing that kind of like keeps it fresh and keeps it from like getting mushy, and you know what I'm saying. And
I felt the texture. I wasn't pleased with the texture when I felt it.
yeah, but it's still good because I cut that bitch. I put one piece in the refrigerator and I kept one piece out, and I cut it while it was still room temperature, even before it got cool. And that shit was pretty good. It could have been sweeter, but you know what? You got to buy. There's these guys in Harlem. They sell the watermelons that are like the old school watermelons that are like oval shape, because you know these watermelons are like kind of like round. They're kind of oval, but you know they're more round, and they're seedless. So that's usually GMO. The old school watermelons, they're like this, and they're oval shaped. Those are the sweet ones, and those still have the black seeds in it. I eat the black seeds, and I eat the seeds of grapes. I told you this. The seeds of grapes, it has no taste at all, and there's more of the vitamins and minerals in the seeds. And the seeds of the watermelon, the real watermelons, not the GMO. There's these brothers that sell them in Harlem, but they probably get it from the South. But the black seeds of the watermelon, when you eat those, it has no flavor whatsoever. It has no taste, and the biggest amount of vitamins and minerals are in those black seeds. You know. So even if I eat it and it tastes accurate and I can't eat it no more, I'll try it. And when I tried it, and this is years ago, I've been eating the seeds for years now. So it's good that I can eat watermelon and not have to spit out the seeds. I eat the seeds, and they have no flavor. They're not like harsh, accurate, or none of that. They don't have any flavor whatsoever. So yeah, but we need saran wrap. We need. I wanted to get some gizzards, chicken gizzards. I'm gonna fry them. I like those every once in a while. Some people don't like them. Some people are afraid of them. Some people be like, "Yo, that shit is slave food, nigga." But you know, sometimes I buy gizzards because the Chinese stores sell them too. But you know, when you cook your own gizzards, you are saving money. When you get, you know, if you get raw chicken, you're saving money than buying chicken from a restaurant, obviously. So we need saran wrap, chicken livers, bread. Because when I was in the supermarket this morning, I said to myself, I know there's things I'm forgetting. Then when I got home, I was like, yep, I didn't grab bread. I didn't grab saran wrap. And when I write down notes, I can only write it down in my old phone. I got to figure out how to put the notes app on my new phone because I don't have it. It's just like when I go to WhatsApp, it's on my old phone. It's not on my new phone. And when I go to my Chase bank account app, it's on my old phone. It's not on my new phone that I use to make phone calls and shit. So, yeah. I'm still very technology illiterate.
You can switch that over.
Yeah, definitely. Because I see how you handle stuff and, you know, you be like, yo, this shit ain't nothing. But you do have to admit that they taught you all that shit in school, so I don't know.
I'm also passionate about technology.
You're not so passionate?
I'm very passionate about it.
Oh, yeah. And it's weird. And I mean, you know, people are saying that people don't have a clue about the actual things that AI can do, especially when it comes to making money. But I'm glad that we're talking about this because I need you to put Gronk I remember I said that to you. Gronk on my phone, because Gronk will teach me a lot, because I Google a lot of shit. Gronk will teach me a lot, because even though some people have accused it of having a narrative, because it is programmed. And if it's programmed by people who have a narrative, then, it's going to be kind of biased. But when you showed me that Gronk that day, and I was talking about how Saturn has 12 moons, and, one of the moons is called, I forgot what the name of that shit was, but, and Gronk was like, oh, you're going deep, I see.
It's not. Now it has. That's voice mode. It has vision now. So one of the latest updates is it's your camera.
Yeah.
So you can do your front face, and you can do your back face, and you could be like, "Yo, Gronk, roast me," and be like, "Well, first of all, look at your background. You're in this fucking."
That's weird.
And it'll go crazy.
I see a roach on your wall, motherfucker. But it's weird and interesting. But besides a lot of people trying to sell products of miracle drugs and vitamins that you can take to help you not to get Alzheimer's and stuff like that, and dementia, exercise. So I'm glad that I stopped drinking and I sort of got my energy back and I'm moving around a little better. And because before, you see, I was just laid out. Had a bad time to be laid out. So when it comes to what helps to fight dementia physically is exercise, because I guess you're getting blood to the brain and oxygen to the brain, and oxygen in your blood, which goes to your brain. And when you do, some people who do like word games and they exercise their thoughts, that helps from people not getting dementia. And there's a lot of women who have a high number of getting dementia, because there's a lot of women who sit around the house while their husband works, or don't got no man and they sit around the house and they don't really get enough exercise. And the black community, we got a lot of fat motherfucking black women, beautiful as hell, but fat, unhealthy, don't know nothing about exercise. I told you when I used to come out of St. Christopher's in the morning, it would be on Woburn, but all the way down Dobbs Ferry. And then from Dobbs Ferry, you go through Hastings, and then you hit Yonkers, and then, but, while I'm waiting for my bus in Dobbs Ferry on Woburn, you see in the morning time, you see white people walking, you see women walking. These two women used to always walk and be talking to each other, having a conversation with each other, and they'd be walking every morning, And you could tell they were a little kind of like, they weren't old ladies, but, they were up there. They weren't young. So, and they have that, some of them, because there's a lot of big, fat, funky, smelly white bitches. So, but they have that instilled in their culture. They're used to eating like salads and shit. We used to eating fucking bad. We even eat slave food, fucking pig tracks. Even when you cook chitlins, they smell like shit. That's slave food, you know what I'm saying? We had to eat that shit. It was forced on us. So not only are we eating pork, which is no good for us, we are eating the bad part of the pig. We ain't eating no pork chops. You feel me? When we were slaves. So we had to make delicacies out of, because regardless of everything, you see the white people, they had us in their houses cooking. There was even a thing when the maids are taking the food from the kitchen to their table to serve the white folk, they had to whistle. Because if you whistle, then you can't be grabbing a biscuit and eating that shit on your way to the table. You know, so when people tell me, yo man, now you said it correctly and succinctly. You said to me, well, just to say that white people are this, that, and the other, that's making a general, broad statement, and that's not good. And even Tariq says that. He says that he don't think all white people are bad. Because white people come on his platform and ask him, you know. They be like, do you hate white people? No, I don't think white people are all bad. I don't hate all white people. Do you hate Africans? You're always talking about Africans. No, I don't like tethers. I don't like Africans that come over here and to coon and undermine us.
Right.
So, you know. So I'm working on that. But I still will say, not every, and I heard a white boy say this, not every body that does good is good.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. There's couple things. One, I got a call from a random number, I think yesterday morning.
Yeah.
It was Ja, and I ended up crying before ending the phone call. Before we end,
Who ended up crying?
me. I think because of the shame I heard in his voice. He didn't ask me for anything. He, in fact, he told me to tell him no. He will repeat, just tell me no, bro. Just tell me no. And that shame I heard in his voice, I don't want, anyone I love to suffer, so that got me. But we ended the call mutually, and I blocked that number as well. The other thing is I just came off of my 6-day week, and
Yeah, you put in that time.
during the 6-day week, I used to take 23-minute breaks because the system allows you to take 23-minute breaks without it triggering. So supervisors don't know, managers don't know, and they're only focusing on the triggers. You were late, you were 16 minutes late.
Right. But for some reason, these motherfuckers found out that you're doing that.
Well, I said it. I said, yes, and so my breaks are, to the supervisor, yes, so my breaks are short. I take 23-minute breaks. So you don't need to. He was telling me, like, yo, can you please take your break at 5 so that I can leave at 5:30? I'm like, first off, I train my team, so I don't need your coverage. And second, my breaks are short. It's also slow. So I don't take 30-minute breaks. I take 23s, and it's slow. I can come back. Everything's be fine.
Yeah, dude, and I've said this before. I didn't have a break in 25 years. I don't even know what lunch is. There's no breaks doing what I do. Every once in a while, the guy that you work with, if me and you are working together, you might say, yo, I'm going to go in the office and sit down. And I'll be like, yeah, go ahead, man. We might do that, but other than that, there's no breaks for us. There's no, yo, you're going to take your lunch at 1 and I'll take mine. There's none of that.
Type shit, yeah. Doing what you're doing, I can understand. That's more like a 24/7 thing.
Right. Even hospitals that stay open 24/7, they get lunch breaks.
Yeah, well, that's the state law. And so I was talking to this guy. And he's like, no, you take 30-minute breaks. I'm like, I take 23s.
Yeah, you're a crazy motherfucker. I didn't tell you that the day that you told me that. I just leave it alone because I know you. But, yo, you crazy, bro. You just fucking... But that's good. That's good that you're like that. That's good. They gotta respect you. They know that they can't walk over you. When they approach you, they're gonna approach you like, this is me. I gotta come correct when I approach him. I can't approach him acting like, I'm your superior and you gotta do what I say and you gotta squirm and squeal when I come in your presence. So it's good that you're like that.
And that's a part of the story as well. So he said 30, I said 23. He said 30, I said 23. He said, I'm your supervisor. It's a 30, and I could be insubordination. I said, I respect the supervisor to lead conversation, but since you're talking about my money, I'm going to have to take this to the manager. And I could tell you...
No.
All right. I could tell he was getting uncomfortable. And he mentioned...
Now, why you gotta do me like that?
Why you gotta go there, man?
Facts.
So, I said, yeah, man. And I'm like, I respect, I respect everything you say. And then he started talking about the law. He's like, one of the reasons we have the 30-minute breaks is because that's the law. And I'm like, well, yeah, but the law wouldn't affect the employee's money. So the law is a minimum standard. The law is 6 hours. The employee wants to take a break. You can't say no. They work for 6 hours straight. You can't say that they can't get a 30-minute break. It's a minimum standard for, to prevent slavery type shit. It's like, you gotta give them a 30-minute break. Our policy is 30 minutes, but I'm like, I know our policy is 30 minutes, and you're enforcing the policy. You're just doing your job.
Right, and policy is not law.
Right. So I'm like, our policy is 30 minutes, but our chrono system doesn't trigger at the 23. That's why I've been doing it since 2018. And so I'm like breaking it down.
Motherfuckers should be happy that you're taking 23 minutes.
I'm like, I'm a hard worker. Anyway,
you shouldn't be saying shit to me.
All right, he's going back and forth. So I reported to Drake. Drake was like, he actually. So I took the 30 to be subordinate. I hit up Drake. Drake was asleep. He works the overnight, so Drake didn't respond. He also hit Drake up during my break.
Is Drake the manager?
Right. So, Drake comes in the next day, walks in, comes in early. He's like, yo, close the door. Man, we need to talk. I want to get straight to it because I don't like to beat around the bush. You're making people feel uncomfortable. People keep telling me, you keep talking about this policy, this law, that law. And he's like, yo, when you mention that, it made him feel like he's less than what he is as a supervisor or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I can't control people's feelings. And I told him I was only pushing back because you're talking about my money. Drake was like 30. I was like, all right, you say 30, then fine. So I'm taking the 30s. But that same supervisor, he was, when I was like fighting for, like I was a temp, and I was fighting to get paid more money, become a genius, and before becoming a trainer, he was a lead. So he was I was working with him, and he's always been one of those managers or leads at that time where he'll talk down, he'll raise his voice to you, he'll talk down to you, he'll yell at you, he'll tell you what to do.
Yeah.
He was one of those leads, and now he's a supervisor. And there was one time he's working on the Genius Guide. Back when I was a trainer, I was doing that, but now he's working on the Genius Guide, and I know that he was kind of like struggling to put it all together, and Drake was telling him get it done and da. And so I was with Shona, the PM supervisor, and I was like, yo, watch this, I'm about to fuck with Dell. I was like, yo, Dell, I need some geniuses. What's up with the Genius Guide? You don't tell me. You don't ask me about the Genius Guide. I tell you what you need. You don't tell me what you need. And this is in front of, by the way, this is in front of Fine Shit. A little Fine Shit shopper. She walk around, and everyone gets quiet because he raises his voice at me. Now, I know that this is Dell, and I worked for him for years, and so I let it pass by, and I'm still like, it's satire. I'm playing with him. I know that I know how to trigger him. So I let it slide. But since you start fucking with my breaks, I reported that to Drake. I'm like, yo, Drake. He was like, you know what I'm saying? He raised his voice at me. He's been doing this shit since 2018. I don't understand how this is a supervisor. He's still talking. He's been here for all these years. He's still talking to people like that. That's the first thing. The second thing, yesterday or the day before, I came into work. I clock in at 1:53 p.m. instead of 2 p.m. because there's a threshold. It's 7 minutes early or 15 minutes late. That doesn't trigger. So I clock in at 1:53 a.m. It's 1:52, and he's like, "Hey Ming, Eva's gonna come in, the trainer. Eva's gonna come in. She's gonna train X, Y, and Z." As soon as he mentioned Eva and trainer, my air went blank because I'm not clocked in. I'm supposed to be paid for every time you're going to talk about policy. I'm supposed to be paid for the time that I'm working, and you're talking to me about work, and I'm not clocked in. So I reported that to Drake as well. There's another situation. Drake said he spoke to him, and when Drake came back, he said, one, he didn't know that you were clocked out, which I can understand that. He may not have known. He said, I also do that to him, so it has to be reciprocal. I'm like, all right, fine. The other thing he said, he said he felt like he didn't raise his voice at you, and Drake said he also spoke to somebody who was a part of the conversation, and they said that he didn't raise his voice. And I said, did you ask Shona? And he said, no. I said, because Shona was right there, and I asked Shona. Now Shona, she just came back from her kind of 7-day vacation, so I made her put Shona on the spot. But I said, when I said I'm about to ask Drake about the genius, and then I'm about to ask Dell about the genius, and I asked Dell, and he was like, "You don't tell me about the genius. I tell you about the genius. You need to focus on technicians." Did he raise his voice at me? And Shona, she was like put on the spot, and she didn't answer. But I felt like that diluted the claim that I made against Dell, the abrasive supervisor, because they were talking about a completely different conversation rather than the conversation that I reported. So that was that.
Well, the question is it their policy that people can talk to you in a way that they don't even talk to their kids that way? A grown-ass man.
Absolutely not.
Because that, to be quite honest with you, if you want to be petty, can be taken to human resources.
HR, 100%.
Is that policy that you talk down your nose to me and embarrass me in front of everybody instead of talk to me like a human being? When I asked the question about the genius, I didn't fucking say that shit in no kind of way that would spark that response. Obviously, with that response, you've been holding on to that and couldn't wait to fucking yell at me in front of everybody so everybody can hear it. Because you've been hearing that same shit that the motherfucker said to you when the motherfucker said, I've been hearing that, you've been like, starting trouble, whatever, well, that was said. Quote unquote, verbatim, I don't know. But, you don't have the right to talk to me like that.
Yeah, the policy is to be professional, be respectful.
Right.
And
that's what human resources is for. And
exactly.
whenever you have to become petty and go to them for this type of thing, you know what? But he won't talk to you like that again. 100%. Now, I'm the same way. I've never, but my stupid ass took street policy to work.
Type shit.
And that's like, don't rat.
You took Brooklyn to work.
But when you rat, you're not ratting. That's your job. That's your money.
Yeah, it's business.
In the street is ratting.
Mm-hmm.
In work, when it comes to my money, you fucking up my money, or you embarrassing me, or you talking to me inappropriately, that's not ratting. But, I mixed those two policies. And a lot of times, because I never fucked with Miss Brooks, the African lady that I was telling you about, I don't fuck with her. So I don't go with her, and I don't fuck with her for nothing. I don't fuck with you. So I'm not going to go with you and go, yo, every day I've been saying to Charles, big fat loser motherfucker, Charles, it's time for dinner. And he goes every day, suck my dick. And, maybe after all of those years, I knew how to enforce restraint where I didn't smack the shit out of that fat tub of shit. But some of them kids be like, if you hit me, I'm going to make him lose his job. So they be on that type of shit. And I'm not going to lose my job for a kid. Yo.
Hey, what's cracking like a Jim Tim?
What's up?
with you?
Everything is good.
Everything good? You moved in your place yet?
No, of course not. Remember I told you that somebody's still living there?
Oh, yeah. That haven't changed. I thought that changed when you wanted the money.
Nah.
Wow. Because I'm under the impression that's move-in cash. You know?
It solidifies the fact that we got the apartment, we saved the voucher, which was the main objective.
Okay. Wait. You know this or you think so?
Well, he told me not. No, everything is definitely a go.
Oh, good. Okay.
Cause him and his partners, they do this shit. This is what they do.
Okay. And you gave him the money?
Yeah.
All of it?
Yo. Well, most of it. So he knows that that my word is good.
Your word is good.
Yeah. So yo, Ming is sitting here next to me. Did you want to ask him a question?
Yo, my pal.
Or did you want him to ask you a question?
He didn't ask me anything you want.
About politics?
Yeah, he didn't ask me anything.
You wanted to ask him a question.
I can't for the life of me think of what it was.
Why is he a conservative? Why is he a Republican? And you're asking that in good faith. Because you still look at Ming like your nephew just the same way as I see your son.
Right, okay. I'll go along with that, but that wasn't my question.
What's up,
Hey,
man?
man.
What up? How you?
Okay, Judy, okay. What you say, me?
I said, what's going on? How you?
I'm doing just fine, man. Better than I expected to be doing at this time in my life.
Yeah.
How you been?
I'm awesome, man.
I hear you want to chop it up with me. Mixed politics. Go right ahead, bro.
Well, a question that has been on my mind for a minute is, you mentioned that you voted for Kamala because of the Black Caucus. What significance does the Black Caucus have to where you trust them with your vote rather than to make your own independent decision?
You're going to have to ask me that again. Somebody was talking to me.
Yep, you mentioned that you voted for Kamala because of the Black Caucus. So my question is, why is the Black Caucus's opinions stronger than your own independent judgment?
Oh, that's an easy one. Because if you want to get anything done, you have to join a team. You have to be part of a larger than yourself. And the only way we can possibly win this war or win a decision, put somebody in power, is to join up. And now I follow the masses of Black Caucus, you know, because I'm a team player. If they say Kamala Harris, say Kamala. If they say Donald Trump, I'm down with Donald Trump. They say Kamala Harris. Therefore, I don't go against the grain. If we don't stick together, then we're nothing. You know what I mean? We're either Republicans or Democrats. Am I right?
That's right.
Or independent. They ain't gonna get nobody in there. You know, you have to join a big strong team and go along with the flow. That makes sense to you? What I'm saying?
Well, my follow up to that will be, I can re-ask the question, why? Like, what's the significance of the Black Caucus? I haven't heard of them. Perhaps I have, but I don't know about them. So why put the trust in the Black Caucus? In fact, what if the Black Caucus said, let's hypothetically, let's vote for Adolf Hitler? Would you go with the Black Caucus then?
No, because I trust some of the black leaders, and I trust that they got my interests in mind when they go. Because you know they bargain for our vote. You know, the Democrats bargain for our vote. They tell the black leaders they're going to give us, and our leaders have to go to them and say what we want. But we can get some of the things we want, you know, if we stick together. If we don't stick together, we're not going to get any of the things we want. We will be just like a fly on the ledge. Nobody sees it. you know. But we have to, and everything we got now is because we've been playing this game for centuries. Everything we got now, and people don't notice it, you know. But you don't got to sit on the back of no bus. You know, you can go in any store. This was unheard of in my lifetime. You know, in my lifetime, there was places in this country you couldn't walk in the front door and eat. You know, yeah, and you couldn't get on the bus and ride. You had nothing, and you had to get off the sidewalk and walk in the street with a white couple coming your way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we have, and you can't hardly notice it because it's been little by little, we have made gains. And that came from all sticking together, bargaining, collectively bargaining with our enemies. You know, join one of the teams. There's always been two or three if you want to cut the independence. We join one. They give us what we want. We make them more powerful. And if they win, we win. You know? It's always been that way. It's always been that way. We have to stick together to even be considered important enough to pay us any mind, to bargain with us in the beginning. To even be strong enough to do, you know, for somebody to say, what do y'all want? We have to stick together to get to that point where anybody even asks us, what is it we seek? You know? If we don't get to that point, trust me, they'll take it all and keep it all for themselves. The society that we're in right now is the white society. Everything from, I'm telling you, from since I was born was always in their favor. Everything is in their favor. It always has been. And we're little by little, we get favor. They hate that.
Right.
You know, we get something turned our way, they hate that. They hate that. And I get joy out of them hating that. Because I know once we've gained something, it's ours. Right. And they ain't getting it back. But you see, our younger generation come along, and they used to have it. So you can't take it away from you. But used to have it, you know?
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
That did. I appreciate it. The reason I asked it was because when our initial conversation about politics, I was asking you basically about your political values, and I felt after that conversation, you basically were a Republican. Based on the values, I think, I don't know, I may have asked you, do you think men should play in women's sports? You may have disagreed with that. I could be wrong. Do you believe in higher taxes or lower taxes? I forget your answer, but I kind of...
Men should not play in women's, compete against women. Because there's laws of nature at hand here.
Right.
A man, though he wants to be a woman, or he feels he's a woman, he's in a man's body, right?
Right.
And it's been proven that a man's body is physically more stronger than a woman's body.
Correct.
You agree about that? So that's unfair for us to be going playing basketball with a woman and we practically a man. You know what I'm saying? We have the body of a man.
Exactly.
That's an unfair advantage in that.
Yeah.
Also, there was a guy in South Africa who had his legs cut off and he had those springs, you know. He bounced around on them springs.
Yep.
And he won. He was winning races down there like crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
The Cat Williams guy, the Tink guy.
Yeah. He was winning races, right? And that's unfair. I believe if you're a handicapped guy and you've been enhanced in any way, you shouldn't be competing.
Right.
Not let everybody in that race have sprints too. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing that the Democrats, they are currently, I mean, perhaps not all of them, but it seems like that's something that the party is forced against. And obviously Trump signed the executive order banning men from women's sports. Like, that's more of a Republican idea.
That's one of the very few things I agree with Trump. I agree with it. Men should be in women's sports. Some of the things Trump signed into law, I agree with. Not everything I disagree with, because not always for the same reason that everybody else agree with. When he dismantled the Board of Education, I've always said it wasn't treating us right as a people, so it should be dismantled. He came along and dismantled it. I'm for it. Because whatever springs up in its place has got to be better than the other system that was failing us. You know,
Yeah.
consistent for years,
Right.
years it's been failing us. So I feel that whatever come out, it'll get enough attention, enough consideration to make has to be better than what they had. You know, this is what I feel about education. I have a question.
Yep.
Why and if you think Trump was a good choice, and do you still?
Yeah, I like what he's doing. Well, one of the biggest reasons I voted for him was because of his foreign policy. So I agree what he did in Iran to their nuclear
Now,
facilities.
what specifically do you agree with?
I agree what he did in Iran to his to their nuclear facilities.
Attack them.
The nuclear facilities.
Unprovoked attack on Iran.
Was it Iran or was it just Iran's nuclear facilities?
I'm pretty sure everybody that died didn't have Iran nuclear facilities on their button, on their chest. But we can look at it this way: the unprovoked attack on their nuclear, capabilities.
Right.
Why?
Because do we want terrorists to have a nuclear weapon?
We have them, and we're terrorists.
That's I had to. I mean, perhaps we've used them inappropriately, because we have different politics, like different sides, and some stupid people get elected. I wouldn't say that we're terrorists, but I think that you can definitely categorize Iran as a
I
terrorist
bet you
nation.
them Iranians would say we were terrorists.
Sure, but that doesn't mean that they're right.
Why not? Didn't we drop a missile on them? See, the one thing which you don't know is America is like the most notorious terrorists there are in that part of the world. They see us as the biggest terrorists there are, and they're not so far from the truth. We're right now we're conducting illegal bombings in Syria, illegal bombings in Iran. We're over there doing all kinds of stuff, and it's no following any laws in this country. We're doing what we want to people we don't like, you know. And you don't say that. You don't think that's terrorist behavior?
I agree that it's illegal. If I'm not mistaken, the law is that if President Trump wanted to do something like that, he would have to consult with Congress first.
Exactly.
And he didn't necessarily do that. So I agree that was illegal. However, again, it was more so to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. And President Trump has made it clear multiple times. He said Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. We can do it the easy way or we can do it the hard way. And Iran doesn't want to see it the hard way. And then he gave Iran a 60-day wait list. And then on day 61, he bombed their nuclear facilities. So if we wanted to wipe Iran out the map, we could definitely do that with our capabilities, but we didn't. We wiped out their nuclear facilities. That's why Trump calls it a 12-day war.
Okay. So we took the steps that we was afraid they might take if they got the weapon.
Right.
They attacked us. We're afraid that they might attack us, so we attacked them first. You don't think that's terrorist behavior? They're unprovoked now. We got to remember, people died, actually died, and they did nothing to us. Israel suckered Trump into coming in and assisting him in something he's been trying to get us to do for years, and he is being ruled by fear. You see, Netanyahu is being ruled by fear. His biggest fear is that those people around him, the Palestinians, Iran,
Yeah.
anybody in the Muslim world gets their hands on them, it's over. So they live in fear. And they've been trying, they would love to destroy all their enemies. And They want to get the United States to come in, they'll lie and cheat, and they got who they want too. You don't think that Donald Trump is a criminal? Let me ask you this: how you feel about him involved with the Epstein files,
Yeah.
trafficking young girls?
I'm just looking for the evidence for it because I don't think anyone knows at this point.
Oh, you don't know. You don't know at this point. Well, the evidence is right there in front of us. He's taking the girl who's supposed to be doing 20 years, right, and put her in a more cushiony jail. He did an illegal move. He sent his lawyer and spent 2 days with her alone. No mics, no guards in there with him or nothing. Alone. You know? Why would he do that to somebody convicted criminal? Why would the president? Then he turn around and practically pardon her, move her to like a country club prison in Texas. He's showing guilty behavior. Why is not the Republican can't see that? Why isn't it that the Republicans can't see that every time Donald Trump make a move, it's bad for them. You think you're going to be more affordable this year than it was before Donald Trump came in office?
Affordable? How do you mean by affordable?
You think prices went up or down?
Oh,
He promised to go down.
I've seen gas prices go down. I've seen that.
Gas prices the least of your problem. Half of Americans don't even drop. Now we're not talking about gas, and they're not that far down. They've been tinkering around. We've seen them skyrocket.
Yeah.
But then they came down. They were still in the high, just like food prices. You know, the egg prices. Egg prices skyrocket. Then they came down. There was $1. There was $1.89. Right? They went up to $5, $6. Then they came down to $3.50. You know, they're still high, but they took it that high to bring it down to a level where we will accept it. But from now on, we will be paying higher prices for our eggs. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's no bird flu man that went through there and killed a few chickens. They replaced the flocks by now. There's no reason for them to be almost 50% higher this year than they were last year. It's just the new norm now. Everybody's sneaking up, and they're doing that at the terrorists. Trump has imposed on terrorists. Everybody's scared. So what is happening now? People are inching up their little prices everywhere you go, even when they don't have to, because they're scared. They're saying on the other end they're gonna have to pay for higher groceries. They're gonna have to pay for higher clothes. They're gonna have to pay for higher gas. They're gonna have to pay for everything. Because Trump is putting a tariff on it and everything. He imposed a tariff on Brazil, president, because the people of Brazil accused their president of corruption, and he's down there walking around with ankle bracelet on his leg. And Trump, bring the Trumps, and Trump put a 50% tariff on Brazil because they caught his friend with his hand in the cookie jar. So you can't see how corrupt he is. I'm serious. You gotta see how corrupt he is. And he's messing around. He's locking people up. He's making people lose their job. He's closing down government. He's stopping all these organizations that help the poorest of us all. You know, the people that feed the poor in the other countries and aid and stuff. He's stopping all of that.
Do you think there was any?
He has no soul.
Do you think there was any corruption that was going out with our taxpayer dollars to help the poor?
Our taxpayer dollars?
Yeah, like corruption. Like, do you think that there was any corruption from, these, I guess, non-profit organizations? Do you think that was 100%? I don't know.
Oh, this country was off the chain. Everybody's on the take over here. Democrats had their hand in the cookie jar for many years too. Everybody's over here. The only ones that's not getting their hands all greasy and sugar all under the nails as us. Everybody else got their hand in the pot.
Yeah, right.
Everybody, you know. So like I said, we got to take the lesser of the evils and make a deal with them just so we can get a little sugar on our cookies, you know. But Donald Trump, he don't give a shit about us. He's going to make sure that the rich stay richer.
Well, one
Get
thing,
richer.
one
And
thing
the
I,
poor get poor. And damn the poor. Now, a lot of people would say, President Obama didn't do nothing for black people. How you feel about that?
it's probably true. Well, here's one thing I agree with the big beautiful bill. What it does is it does no taxes on tips and no taxes on overtime. I work overtime, and the more money you make, the more I'm taxed. And so I appreciate that. That's a tax break for me, and I'm not rich yet.
That's not really a tax break for you. That's a distraction. Because on the other side, he's going to take away your health insurance. Almost certainty. It's going to take away your ability to go to the doctor. You see, you're trading off, actually. A few, yeah, sure, a few, but he's only going to do that. He got limit terms on no taxes on tips. That's only for a couple of years. You know that, right?
And it's up to a certain amount, right?
Right. Up to a certain amount. But it's only for a couple of years, then it goes away.
That's what a tax break is,
But
where it's temporary.
yeah, it's temporary. You better believe it's temporary. And so I've heard you say, you and I talking about what's happening for you personally. I don't see it. I see that you're in especially your age group, and for a world of hurt. You know? As far as Obama is concerned, Obama, he was the president of everybody. Black people always hung that he didn't do that for black people. He don't have that type of power to go in there and be specifically for black people.
That's right.
Nobody voted for that. You know, not even black people. But he was able to generalize. And when he generalized, he fixed things like clean water, you know, parks, national parks. Not to mention just the very stature of the man was good for all black men to see, young and old, you know. It did something to uplift your, confidence, just to see him in office, And I tell you right now, Republicans not going to win. You see what's happening now with all the Republicans, that Trump do all this illegal stuff and get away with everything like that. He's threatening institutions of learning. He's threatening lawyer firms. He's threatening ABC or CBS.
Yeah.
He's threatening people's jobs, people he don't like. He's going after using the DOJ as a political tool. He's going after people he don't like. He's even suggested that they go after Obama.
Right.
You see? You can't see there's something wrong with him. He's insane. The man is insane.
Yeah, I think that's more like the political back and forth. I think that was also happening with Biden's DOJ, where there was, I think a lot of what was going on with the Trump indictments. A lot of that was politicized.
I know Trump. That's generally what Trump was telling all his people, that they were after him. You know why they was after him? Because he was a criminal. He's been doing criminal shit since I've known him, and he's still doing criminal shit. They had to go after him. He's mad because he didn't have impunity then. You see, he okay, what about the insurrection? Do you believe that he started an insurrection to stop the normal course of this country's democratic system from working properly? He tried to put his thumb on the scale. You know that, right? He cheated. That's what that was. He was cheating. He was looking down at Georgia talking about he needs all these votes. Come on, just like they got him on tape talking about he just need a few more votes. Just give it to me. You know what I'm asking. You know, he's threatening motherfuckers to give him what he wants. Big. You can't, in all seriousness, be down with Trump. There's a few brothers down with him, but they're gonna change their tone. You're gonna have to jump off that ship, man. That ship is going nowhere for brother. Nowhere.
You mentioned a few things. You mentioned the healthcare thing, and a lot of people were saying that he's going to take away you guys' healthcare. I don't have healthcare personally. I'm kind of like my own healthcare. But you mentioned the healthcare thing. A lot of people were afraid that he's going to take away their healthcare, but he hasn't done that. One thing he's mentioned, the reason why he wanted to get rid of the illegal immigrants on our welfare systems is to protect healthcare for the people who need it, like you and Dad.
Your health care is under attack. Whether you know it or not. Your health care is under attack. And that's has a delay on it. It's gonna happen in a couple of years. After midterms you're gonna see all of his real cuts come through. They're delaying. If he was to show you the monstrous shit that he's got planned for us, now none of his constituents would back him in the midterm. That's what they're holding out for because he don't give a fuck. He's on his way out after. He thinks he's going to run another 4 years after this. And not over my dead body. But, what was I saying?
Yeah, healthcare.
Trump, healthcare. Yeah, you ain't going to see that until a couple of years. You're going to see the effect of that. You right now, you got what they call Obamacare. You can all you have to do is go on the healthcare hotline and get you some insurance. You can get insurance. If you're not working, they will comply. You know, they put in just like that Section 8 voucher. You know, they match. They come in and help you. You know, make up the slack. You know, make it affordable for you. You can. I never had healthcare when I worked all my life until Obama got in office. And I tried every way.
Well, the reason I disagree with universal health care is because not only is it incredibly expensive for our country, but we have freedom of choice in what we buy and what we eat. So I grew up with you, and you were known as the motherfucker who was cooking. Excuse my language, but the guy who was grilling and who was cooking, who was eating everything. And it's like, and you want to also have universal health care, have taxpayers pay for your health care. It's like we have to be responsible. One of the reasons I'm not on health care is because I don't know if I should be, but it's because I've invested into my education to learn how to be healthy. And I think a lot of us perhaps don't know how to be healthy. Maybe we have unhealthy habits that may have passed throughout our generations. And it's those unhealthy people who are looking for universal health care. It doesn't seem fair.
You know what? You're kind of young to be worrying about what the country's spending on you. You must not realize you've seen your check, right?
Yeah.
How much you think? Okay, if you make $200 before taxes, right? How much you think of that you take home?
They take a lot. Take a lot of taxes.
It's unprecedented. They're taking more than ever, right? But they're cutting out all of these systems, cutting out all these people that they had to fund, all of these places they had to support and everything. They're giving themselves a sizable raise. You know that, right? Congress is giving themselves a sizable raise, right? And all of this money, it's no reduction. It's still coming out of your check. Now they're shutting down places for your money to go and benefit us. Parks and services, the rangers, you know, the guys that ride around on horses and shit, they sending them home. They ain't paying for that. The park, you gotta go. The people who clean up these big old parks and stuff like that, they sending them home. The government ain't paying for that stuff no more. The parks gotta come in with private companies and pick up their own garbage and behind the people that come in and park and stuff. No more parks division. You know, they don't even want to fight fires no more. They want people to do it locally. You know, where you think you want to save the country some money? Talk about taxpayers' money. Where do you think they're going to spend it on? Where do you think the money that you're saving them? Where do you think it's going to go?
The military is one thing I generally agree with, but for the most part, I don't want the government to be spending money on too many things. I believe in a smaller government. In fact, for the most part, I agree. I think that the government should be taxed less, like the citizens should be taxed less, and the government should be spending less.
Okay. The government should be spending less and we should be taxed less. We're not going to get taxed less. Like I said, once they start taking out your money and we accept it, nobody's going to go down. You know what I mean? They're going to do more, if anything, but that's how greedy it is. But there is so much money out there to coming out of everybody's check in the country. You know what I'm saying? They got to put it somewhere. And in my opinion, I want my money to go to
Healthcare.
starving people.
Oh, okay. Well, starving people. Yeah.
Healthcare. Healthcare for our people. You know, make our people healthier. You know, nursing homes, nurses' aides.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with all the old people? You gonna kick them out in the street? That's what he's talking about. All the nurses' aides. He says people gonna have to take care of their own parents. Everything he says is some type of wild thoughts from the prehistoric time. And he's not playing. He's sick like that. He's taking away all types of stuff we gained. You know, we just have accumulated and gathered to a point where we're operating like a country that cares about our people. Citizens, you know. They don't want none of that. They don't care. Right now, the white people got all these private conversations, all these gated communities and everything. Swimming pools and all this. Yonkers, for instance, down there by the Hudson River. We used to go down there and sit along the shore and fish. There's somewhere to go on a Sunday. You can't even go down there no more. You can't go nowhere near the water down there. Trump done bought all that up. You don't give a damn about the recreational neighbor. Place for us to go hang out. You don't care about none of that. He didn't even want black people in none of his buildings.
Dad's phone is on 1%. His phone is about to die. The final question, it was like, did you take the vaccine? Did you agree with the way President Biden implemented a vaccine mandate on the entire country?
Absolutely. I took it because I was under the impression that it was designed to kill us in the first place. You see, if the most dangerous person in the world to me was Trump. And when Trump came to power the first time, I knew it was something going to come and attack black people. You don't know this, but they turned Central Park. You might know this. They turned Central Park into a morgue with so many people, and they were all people of color. And we were dying. The only reason the Europeans, they were getting sick like everybody else, but they wasn't dying because this virus that they had developed in a lab here is still a mystery. Who sent it out there? I'll tell you who sent it out there. Trump. I've been expecting something to happen to black people. Trump sent that out here. Him and Fuji. They piggyback this virus on the back of the Spanish flu. The Spanish flu that came around 1909, and this country hit Europeans like crazy. They died from it, but then they got an immunity to the virus. The one that was left was immune. That's how I knew they had to make a virus, a modern day virus, off the back of the one they were immune to. It came in and it took out everybody you know. I know everybody I know somebody who died from that shit. It took out so many black people, man. They was talking about stopping the Social Security program. Free COVID. After that, you didn't hear it no more. It took out all our old people. I made sure I got those viruses, and I made sure my father and mother got them too.
But what about for people like me who military aged, I'm an athlete, or babies?
What about you?
Yeah, I'm healthy. Like, did I need to get mandated to take a vaccine?
No, listen, I'm all for personal choice. If you don't think you need it,
Dad's phone is shutting down.
Huh?
His phone is shutting down. It might cut off.
Me? I would like to continue talking to you.
Alright.
Alright? So when you let's get back to it, all right?
All right, for sure.
Yo.
No, I shut down.
Okay.
I want to take a walk. It's probably too late for me to go to the gym. If it's, I can check. But if it's not too late, I can consider it. But if it's too late, I'll maybe just take a walk.
What time do they close?
I think 10:45.
Yeah.
It's about an hour to get there, though.
Right.
Yeah, but that was basically everything. The Jaquan situation and the supervisor situation. That was basically that. Drake said he had the conversation with him and it was documented. I don't know what that means. It was documented. Maybe it was a verbal coaching. I don't know what that means. It sound lighthearted, but when he said it was documented, that
Sounds like he had a conversation with him and he wrote down that fact that he had a conversation with him and what the conversation was about.
Yeah.
And what brought on the conversation, which is you, but he might have left that part out.
his spirit seemed to be still lighthearted. I think he should absolutely tread lightly around me.
Who? Oh, Del?
Yeah, the abrasive supervisor.
Yeah.
He still seemed lighthearted. I feel like, he should absolutely.
Yeah.
He's
Because my supervisors were under the impression that I would never go rat them out. They just continued to fuck with me, and it just got worse because now they felt emboldened. Hampton's never gonna. But the day that I would have went to human resources, that bullshit would have stopped.
right.
It would have, because we would have probably had to have a sit down, me, that person, and human resources, and after our conversation, they would have had to. They wouldn't go back to fucking, because they'd be like, oh well, if I go back to fucking with him, he's gonna go back to human resources. He went one time. What would stop him from going a second time? And if he went one time already, now he's emboldened to go a second time, especially if I'm still fucking with him after he went and we sat in human resources.
100%.
So,
It's the way he speaks to people. It's not manager to supervisor or supervisor to lead type of conversation. It is father to son. It's very weird. That shouldn't be happening. And I'm saying I didn't sign the offer letter to get another dad. That's not what I signed up for. I was on another example. I was on the 3rd floor. We kept getting exceptions. The shoppers on the 1st and 2nd floors. So we got some reserves on the 3rd floor that the shoppers don't go up there, so it keeps going into exceptions. It's like, oh, you need to go to the 3rd floor. So I went up to the 3rd floor to go get this tissue, a box of tissue. I got the tissue up here. He's got the jack, and he's like, "Man, what are you doing?" And I already know he probably has an issue with me carrying the box. I'm like, "Are you gonna help me? Like, can you help?" He's like, "Only take one. We're not supposed to be carrying boxes like that." That's bullshit. I can bring a motherfucking box downstairs. But the way that he's... Ming, what are you doing? Put the box down, only take one. We're not supposed to be taking boxes like that. Yo.
Now, also, what happens is some people, and I could afford to do this. I didn't want to lose none of my job because I was making that bread. But some people, especially me, I had 2 jobs. So when my African lady from Children's Village was trying to get me fired, all I got was 5-day suspension, which I was like, thank you, because I was still working my other job. That just gave me some time off to get some rest. But some people will go, excuse me, can I talk to you for a second? Yeah, I want to chop it up with you. And then they get along and they go, yo, I don't appreciate, and then, I know I'm talking a little more emboldened because I'm not in this situation. So if I was in this situation, I probably wouldn't be talking the way I'm talking now. But I'm paraphrasing.
More professional.
I would be like, yo, or some people would be like, yo, can I chop it up with you? Boom, go somewhere private. Yo, I don't appreciate you talking to me the way you talk to me that way. Or actually, there's been a couple of times where you talk to me off tone, right? That's one. And two, the next time you talk to me like that, the next time you raise your voice at me or try to embarrass me in front of people, I'll go and take that shit to human resources.
Right.
And again, there's some people that won't even say that because
Yeah.
they're divulging information. They'll just go to human resources.
Exactly.
Because he might go, well, fuck it, I'm going to go to human resources before he go.
Right.
I'm going to write him up before he go.
Right.
I'm going to jump the gun because he divulged information to me, And also there's this saying that Professor Black Truth says, or Jason Black, one of them. If Jason Black says it, if you want to hear everything that's on a black man's mind, put him in front of a white man. He'll tell him everything. And a lot of times, especially when it comes to the enemy, and I don't mean black-white, I mean, it might be your enemy or your adversary at work. Whenever you divulge too much information to your enemy, you're weakening yourself. Never let your enemy know what you're thinking. So that's what you did by kind of like ignoring it. But again, just to finish what I was going to say, because I know you want to chill. Pull them aside. Yo, can I speak to you? I don't like the way you have spoken to me that day. Or, you might say, I don't like the way you've been speaking to me lately. And because, again, motherfuckers feel like, oh, well, man, he don't never go rat me out. So I can just keep abusing him. And embarrassing him in front of people. I can keep belittling him. You know how people are power hungry. Without even knowing it. It'd be like some kind of shit.
Right.
But now this is some people. I don't appreciate how you've been talking to me lately. And the next time you talk to me like that, and again, you don't really even want to tell them all of this because I'm just saying some people might do this. The next time you talk to me like that, I'm going to take you to human resources. And after human resources, if you talk to me like that again, then we're going to have to handle it a different type of way. Now, you don't even want to bring it that far. You just pretty much, if anything, either go to human resources or not.
Drake told me to not, because when I text Drake, I'm like, yo, there's some policies that's not being followed by Dell, and it may need to be addressed. Do you want me to address it with him first? Drake said, nope, always send it. He said, formally send me an email, I'll address it to Dell. He said, because he's your supervisor. Now, I don't mind having that conversation. I don't mind be like, yo, you're talking to me like you don't report to Drake. You're talking to me like you don't report to, like we don't have human resources.
That's, and also, Drake might not, or he might, like, let me put it to you this way. When you go to human resources is going to say to you, did you go to your next chain of command?
Right.
So now you can say, yeah.
Yeah.
I reached out to Drake. Now I'm here with y'all. Mm-hmm. So there's that.
Yeah, if it keeps going, I can go to Drake again, or I can go straight to human resources like, yo, Drake, what the fuck is going on? Because I told the overnight supervisor, Chrissy, she was an outbound lead when I was a trainer. And she said she has issues with Dell. She said Dell, Chrissy, she's a stud. But she said there was one time Dell was like, her team doesn't do, like they're not doing their job. So she said, yo, you said my team wasn't doing their job. Like, I want to know, like, what was behind that. And she said Dell was like over her, like this, right? She said Chris came in, a manager. He was like, "Yo, Dell, you gotta chill." Dell was like, "You need to stay out of it." Chris left. He went to go get Drake, and Drake like was wilding on Dell. It's like, yo, you know how that looks? Just standing over a woman, and made Dell cry. So she said she still got. She said she got that animosity with Dell as well. Now
Drake made Dell cry.
yeah. She said he was in the corner like nobody understands me. Da 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 da.
Fucking bitch.
He's got to work out. Perhaps, as you mentioned, it's got to be something personal. He got to work on that personal development because I never had issues. It's funny, like a lot of people, they have issues with Drake. A lot of people, they have the way Drake speaks to people. A lot of people, they have issues with Dell. When I wasn't. Dell was the lead, but it wasn't on my shift. I was always like PM. So I was working my way up on PM, and then Dell was on the AM, and the AM people would hate Dell. There's an overnight lead who hates Dell because he works overnight to the AM, and then Dell comes in. So a lot of people told me how he had his issues with Dell, and I've seen him in action, the way he yells and talks to people, and he never really brought that shit to me because I'll be telling these people like Dell made and Drake made an overnight lead call out. I said, bro, if there's one thing I disagree with is letting these niggas affect my money. You called out, potentially putting yourself in trouble, like calling out unreasonably. You potentially put yourself in trouble. You didn't get paid for that time because you disagree with the way that these guys are talking to you. I'm like, yo, don't you understand that Drake reports to Courtney? Don't you understand that Drake, Courtney, and Dell, they all report to HR? Like there's a totem pole, there's a system, and you have to basically work the system. So if there's something that you don't agree with, why would you affect your own money, affect yourself? That just brings it down. Then you get your paycheck and you're even more pissed.
Is Dell white?
Nah, Dell is a light-skinned guy. I assume he's black at some capacity. But the way
He's probably a tether. Because first of all, black Americans don't name their kid Dell. And second, that's like a Caribbean name.
Absolutely.
And second of all, first of all, Caribbeans coon their way to the top more than us. They might not totally kiss ass, but they come over here too cool. They be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be like the black Americans who are totally radical and militant and revolutionary. I'm going to, I'm going to finesse my way to the top. But another thing I noticed about tethers is, because I can take dealing with the kids doing what I did, because that's what they're there for. Mm-hmm. My supervisors who coon their way to the top, my supervisors, whether African or whether from the Caribbean, they have this thing also that they treat adults in the workplace the way they were treated as little kids. They take on their mother or their father's persona.
Yeah.
The African lady at Children's Village said one time, when I was growing up, my father never touched me. She said my mother used to beat my ass though. So a lot of times when kids grow up like that, they have a kind of
a grudge
against the world.
Right.
And they don't know how to get it out. They take it out on people that they perceive themselves to be over in the workforce.
Yeah.
And this lady used to just ride me and ride me and ride me. I should have took her to human resources early.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Shut that shit right down.
One of the reasons I don't mind going to human resources, one, because it's uncomfortable, but two, you mentioned to me, yo, you're a man before you're an employee.
Right.
So why is this guy speaking to me like this? And
right.
I never really understand it, and I don't understand why it seems like it's still an issue. Perhaps he's gotten a little bit better at his speech. We've had some constructive conversations.
He might give everybody else problems, but I'll show him in front of everybody.
Yeah, and by the
Fuck
way,
you talking to, motherfucker?
I didn't even mind. I didn't mind until you started fucking with my money. But now I'm like really on that, and I look forward to working with him. I look forward to being around him. We didn't have any issues because I guess I just didn't spend that much time with him, and perhaps he has given me issues in the past, but I let it ride. But I've never had issues. There's even this guy, Dennis, Caribbean guy. The way Dennis, multiple people had issues with Dennis. The way Dennis was speaking to people, but I've always checked that shit. I don't know. It's never been on this side where motherfuckers. I tolerate motherfuckers talking to me the way that they want to talk to me, or talking to me the way that they speak to their children. Never tolerate that shit in the workplace. That shit is not my job description. You have to, you know what I'm saying?
That shit is unacceptable.
Drake told me that Dell is my superior in a text, and I told him, I said, yo, I know what you mean.
Right.
But I said I don't agree with that superior word because it can have a different
Hell
meaning.
no. Nobody's my superior, motherfucker. If you wanna be a religious cat, then you know what motherfuckers say. Nobody's my superior except God.
Right.
Or I fear no man except God. That type of shit. But other than that, superior. And again, I know what you meant. You don't mean he's better than me. I know what you meant. That's job talk.
I report to him, but it's no issue.
Right.
And again,
It's just a term.
the reason why it came up is because Shona, my PM supervisor, she went on a little 5-day break, and so now I'm working with Dell. This is different management, different leadership, and yeah, he fucking with the right one.
You might have to let him have it. And if you think Drake made him cry, imagine when you fucking. It's shocking that Human Resources asked to speak to him. Imagine what he's gonna do then. He's gonna be mad at you, but he can't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're gonna have to say, yo, I should have never fucked with me. Cause if I didn't fuck with him, or I didn't fuck with most people that I fuck with that have a problem with me, I wouldn't be going through this. I bought this on myself.
Yeah, he keeps talking to me about policies, and here's one of the things that gets under my skin. One, do I have a grudge because he turned my 23 minutes into 30 minutes? Yes. But he's talking to me about policy, and mind you, when I was a temp, when I was working my way up before becoming a trainer, I was so good at what I did that I was training him on things.
He was in your class?
No, I was just that good. I was trained by a supervisor who was trained by a fucking guru, like a computer guru. This computer guru trained the supervisor I was on when I was a temp with Vertex, and what used to happen, they would tell you to go to a place and then work on that place, do one individual task, or maybe do a couple tasks at one time. But whenever I'm doing a task, I'm making sure I'm doing the task right. I don't want anybody coming to me and say, yo, Ming, you messed up the task. So I'm doing the task right. If I have a question, I'll go downstairs, I ask the supervisor will teach me. And then I go back up, I do my task, and then if something come up, an error message, I go downstairs, I ask the supervisor will tell me. And then the supervisor may say something, I'm like, wait, what do you mean by that? And I was like learning from, it was like constantly. So even the lead was like, yo, where the fuck is Ming at? No, Ming is downstairs learning from a supervisor. So I was just learning, and I passed people as a temp. I got temps now, but I've passed people as a temp. And I started passing leadership level. I started passing even now I do supervisor level things where perhaps I could have a conversation with Courtney about a raise for it. And so when Dell talks to me about policy, and it really pissed me off when I was upstairs on the 3rd floor, and he's saying you're not supposed to carry boxes like that. Perhaps he's right, and I'm not supposed to carry boxes like this the way I had it. But I know what the fuck I'm doing, and when you tell me when you tell me shit like that, it makes me feel like, one, you're lying to me because I know I can take this box downstairs.
And 2, you just want to say some shit.
Yeah, and you're talking to me saying like you're informing me of a policy that perhaps I'm not aware of. so like you're like questioning my intelligence, and I basically know the exact same things that he knows. So yeah, there's definitely got to be a change. If not, I love to escalate it to whoever going forward. That's a non-negotiable. He absolutely has. I don't give a fuck if he does it to other people, and perhaps, especially since he turned my 23s into 30s. If I see him fucking with other people, I might fuck around and report that shit, even if it's not my business, because changing my 23s to 30s. Here's the issue why I have an issue with my 23s. They won't give me my 23s back because it doesn't trigger, and I've been taking it since 2018. So if I was manager, now I understand Drake is kind of at a he has to say, Ming, take your 30, but they don't have to enforce it. What I would say is Dell, leave Ming alone, stop focusing on his time card, and Ming, stop telling people that you take 23s. I keep taking my 23s, it doesn't trigger, and everybody comes to work and make their money. But now that they've taken that 4 minutes per day out of my paycheck, that 4 minutes used to add up to an extra 30 minutes on my paycheck. Basically meaning that I get paid an extra 30-minute break.
Yo, he's either a tether or he's biracial. I used to work with this guy named Martin. I don't know if he's biracial, but he's one of those super duper light black guys.
Light skin, yeah,
And he talks kind of
he's
a little whitish.
his skin, I'll tell you, is pale, but his lips are bigger. So it's kind of like a pale skin.
Yeah,
He's like really light skin.
yeah. And there was this shit I was watching on YouTube today, which was how black is getting like watered out, and what they mean by that is Mahone, his father is darker than you. His mother's white. Mahone now has got with a white woman, so their kids look Caucasian. So that black from his father just got watered out.
Type shit.
But what was I saying?
Oh, you saying he was light skinned?
Yeah. Dell is either
Biracial
or he's a tether.
type shit.
Biracial, I used to work with this guy, Martin, and he's super duper light. He used to work with me. We used to do martial arts together. I used to bring my pads. We used to, like, you know what I'm saying? We were down by law. That nigga became director of the campus, like night and day.
Yeah.
Changed. Like, had the attitude like, yo, we ain't friends no more. We used to be friends. That shit is dead. Like night and day. I understand, you know, you become a supervisor and you have to let your friends know, yo, dude, I can't let our friendship get in the way of me doing my job as a supervisor. I get that. But he changed night and day, dude. He thought everybody was supposed to be afraid of him, and I was walking around like, you the same old dude I used to work with, bro. I'm not going to start kissing your ass. And he was the director of the whole campus. Because he went to college, you know. He's super light-skinned, kind of talks whitish. And I guess the higher-ups like him, guys like him. So, you know, he turned... So, you know, I didn't let that affect me. You know, I was like, yo, you same old bitch-ass nigga that I work with, nigga.
Right.
I ain't changed. I was like, oh, Mr. Martin, fuck you, motherfucker. And then when he seen that I didn't change, because he changed, now he was kind of like trying to act like, you know, normal, kind of talking to me normal. He sees that higher up boss shit don't work on me.
Exactly.
I'm not, yo, Mr. Martin, fuck you.
Yeah. All that does is build resentment.
Yeah. And animosity.
Yeah, no
Dell,
respect.
he's a piece of shit. Everybody knows it. And the fact that you told me that motherfucker made him cry shows that he's a bitch, which probably means he's bisexual, or if nothing else, he's fucking a tether and bisexual. A bisexual tether.
Very, very weak. By the way, Shona, my PM supervisor, now she's back. I was taking 23-minute breaks under her. She didn't mind. She didn't care. She's like, it's not triggering. But Dell is that, and I spoke to Chrissy, the overnight supervisor. She said Dell is that supervisor where he's like, he hates to be wrong.
Right.
And Chrissy said,
which is childish.
Chrissy said, yo, if you were working on my shift, you're taking 23-minute breaks, it doesn't trigger that shit. Why would I enforce a 30-minute break? This is why I'm reporting him.
Why would
Constantly.
Why would somebody enforce 7 minutes?
They're enforcing it, and it's like, bro, you know you don't have to enforce it. Now, like, do you expect respect or resentment from enforcing these fucking 30-minute breaks? And now he's getting resentment. So, I'm with the shits now. I'm with the shits. And by the way, when I reported him on the yelling at me, that incident happened before the 23-minute, because it's like that now. It's 100% resentment. Of course, I'm not going to say that.
Right.
But it's 100% resentment.
Right. But he probably also knows that, if I have to take your ass to human resources, it's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. And if there's any resentment towards me, I'm that type of employee. I'm never on the shit list. I don't have any write-ups. He's got write-ups throughout his tenure. I don't have any write-ups. Clean record, clean slate. In fact, my record is so good, I can, like sacrifice a write-up or two type shit and maybe be on the final. I can, like, if I wanted to, like, push the edge and go risky, obviously, why would I do that? But my record is super clean. And I make sure that I'm very meticulous with doing my job. So, good luck catching me off guard. Good luck catching me slipping.
Facts. Good luck catching anything more than a write-up when it comes to me. And even good luck with that.
Right.
Because me, I had so many write-ups, I could have built a castle.
But I assume you didn't care because you had the other job.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't care anyway. You know what I'm saying? These people come in and think that they can talk to you anyway, and the main motherfuckers that go, yo, don't worry, bro, I'm not going to change. They be the main motherfuckers that change. More and more, they change. More and more, they change. And start acting like dickheads. More and more. Yeah. And then I see motherfuckers getting promotions over me.
Crazy.
Because they're cool with the person that gave them the promotion, and they're cool with the person that gave them the promotion because tethers kiss ass. People are looking for people that kiss ass. Black Americans, we don't kiss ass.
All right.
Now, for the Black Americans that do kiss ass, that's even worse than a tether, because a tether is an immigrant coon. Fuck nigga is a domestic coon, which is even worse because
Type shit.
tethers, they come over here too coon. Domestic coons, they know better.
Right.
And yet they coon. So, they're even worse.
I feel you. Yeah.
They're the ones that go, hey, Massa, they talking about running. Tomorrow night they gonna run.
And that's why it's in our culture. It's like we don't play
it's
that
in our
shit.
DNA.
We don't.
It's fucked up.
We don't play that shit. We don't pay any coonery, domestic,
Right.
or
And
like we
again,
don't play it. We don't fuck with that
we're
shit.
the only specific, particular group of people, Black Americans, even with our coons, even with our fuck niggas, even with our niggas, black on black crime and all that shit, we're the only people who have fought against this country for rights, human rights. In 1965, we didn't just fight for the Voters' Rights Bill. We fought for the Civil Rights Bill, which got the immigrants to come over here, to be able to come over here legally. Not what Biden was doing. I don't know what the fuck that shit was. Where you see them coming over here 100,000 at a time,
And flying them in.
and you see them walking, and it be like you can't see the end of the line. Like, I don't know what the fuck that shit was. And Biden saying, yo, you better learn Spanish. I don't know what the fuck that shit was, but so Black Americans We are the only motherfuckers that pull up on the cops, pull up on white supremacists, pull up on this country, pull up on the politicians. We're the only ones. There's no other people that pull up. If anybody, white people will pull up more than the immigrants, because Africans didn't come over here to make waves. Motherfuckers from the Caribbean didn't come over here to make waves. But when you seen that George Floyd uprisals, which was it went global. It was a global uprising because that shit went viral. Everybody's saying this motherfucker lynched this motherfucker.
Other countries were marching for us. Is weird.
Because they were like, yo, and then everybody was in the house because of the COVID.
Right.
So everybody wanted to get out the house anyway. So everybody was in the house watching TV. So everybody seen that shit. So it was a chain reaction. It was a domino effect. But my point was that I was getting to was more than you seeing Africans out there, if any, or Caribbeans out there, if anything, you seen white motherfuckers out there with us, marching with us.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Rittenhouse killed 2 white boys. And because his $1 million of whiteness in his skin, him having his gun on the back of his back, the cops moved out the way. They partied like the Red Sea, and he walked past them and went home. That's white supremacy, and squared. White supremacy in a nutshell. When you see Kyle Rittenhouse in his trial, you see him behind the judge's desk with the judge looking at films of what happened. He's like over the judge like this. They're both watching the film together. What white motherfucking old motherfucker judge is gonna tell a black guy, yeah, come over here, watch the film with me, tell me what happened? You'll never see it happen. You'll never see that happen. So, white people will cheat, steal, lie, con. They're corrupt, they're cowards, and they're liars. And they can't